Sorry, I said turn on the recording for YouTube there. And when we're thinking about the podcast, we forget that it's not just the people in our little our little town here in Ireland that are going to be listening to this. So this is kind of coming full circle for us to kind of meet somebody who came into our world from the SharkPod effort that we're putting out there. So it's really cool. So you're very welcome. So Neil is the owner, founder of the PhoneQuad product. LeshTronix Corp is the company. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the product as well as maybe the kind of entrepreneurial story behind Neil and how he got here. We're also going to pick his brain, maybe, like I said, on America and all doing business there and all that type of stuff. Hey, Neil, if you have been listening to a few of our podcasts, you'll know that a lot of Irish guys who we do the fast, the lightning round for questions. A lot of the Irish guys that we talk to, when they say where would you do business, or if you could do business anywhere, where would it be? I mean, what do you think, Mark? Maybe 90% say that it's America.
Yeah, I think just the market is so big, and we've been watching American television all our lives, Neil. So we get to see the American dream on TV at least.
Yeah. So Neil, is it when you're growing up, is the entrepreneurship stuff, is that kind of in everybody's family, or is that kind of something that's taught, something that's brought up? It seems like it's a big part of the culture there in comparison to Ireland, for example.
I do believe it is a big part of the culture, especially when you are, born and raised in and around New York City your entire life. The pace is incredibly fast. You're brought up with this concept of, Wall Street and Main Street, and you have to kind of pick the path. So, when you're in school, and, for me, I was in public school my entire life, and I had a great experience, great group of friends, and I'm in touch with a lot of people that I've grown up with. And it's been very interesting to see and track the path of everybody that I grew up with. And, I had a lot of friends who grew up in family businesses, right? And some of those family businesses are still around, whether they're manufacturing, distribution, some form of technology, service businesses, things of that nature. So, it could be in your DNA. And I definitely think that entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. It's a battle. I'm sure you guys have heard and read of the challenges of Sisyphus, the book where the guy's pushing up, a boulder uphill all day long. And, that's what he's been punished to do. But, I think folks that come from an entrepreneurial background, they are already aware of that challenge. Maybe they were surrounded by it by their parents or relatives, or, influenced by teachers that said, listen, you have a specific personality and you should go in this direction, or kids that were really great in math or science, and kind of take those passions and run with it and see what happens, whether you excel in school, you don't excel in school. Sometimes I say to myself, if it wasn't for street smarts, I don't know if I'd have any smarts. And I look at the world and my atmosphere as my school, as opposed to true scholastics, and although I took, an in-depth dive into scholastics, I think more of my education and my street smarts come from my parents. And my background and my grandparents and the struggle that they had when they came, to the United States as Holocaust survivors from Eastern Europe. So, I have all different kinds of stories of struggle, and what education means to a lot of people and what education doesn't mean to a lot of people. So, I'm a purebred entrepreneur. I've worked for a lot of large global asset management firms for the past 20 years on the data feed side, real-time technology, supporting and providing, network infrastructure to investment bankers, traders, and research analysts. And I can tell you, although I'm passionate about what I do and I really enjoy it, I, at every opportunity and every idea that I've come up with, and I have failed multiple times, I can thank my failures for future successes. So, that's my mindset. That's my strategy. I'm the guy that the cockroach in a nuclear winter. I will survive.
I love this. I love this attitude because, I think Mark, and I know sometimes one of our weekly listeners will let me know if I'm being too harsh on Ireland. I love Ireland. I've got the flag behind me and everything like that. And I think we're getting better at that type of attitude where, we're going to, swing the bat as much as we can. If we strike out, we strike out, but it's not the end of the world. And I think because we've never been like this is the first time that we've been a kind of an immigrant country where people are coming to Ireland for opportunity. Before we went to New York for opportunity generally, but now people are coming in here, and I see those people with that kind of immigrant mentality starting stuff, trying to kind of hustle and all that type of stuff, and I think it's rubbing off on people as well. We're talking to a lot of maybe younger people than us on the podcast as well, and there's so many people out there trying to start something, like you said, following their passion, all that type of stuff, which is fabulous. So let's talk about the product that you're running right now, and kind of dig into that, and then we can kind of take it from there. The kind of tagline that I kind of stuck with me is it's like a selfie stick without the stick. So it's basically a kind of drone for your phone. There's all these little catchphrases already, which I really like. So where did the idea come from to launch this? And maybe if you wouldn't mind kind of explaining for the people who haven't come across it yet, what's it all about?
Sure. So, basically a little background though, before we actually just jump into the product itself.
Okay.
I was one of those kids that came holiday time and we got some toys. I wasn't the kid that really played with the toys. I actually had to take them apart, right? That was my passion. I think the thinking of an engineer without really kind of being an engineer. And I think all kids have that. A lot of kids have that kind of curiosity, is why do the lights work? Why do the sounds work? How does this move? And I am a kid of the 70s, and I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. And we got toys, and they were nowhere near advanced as technology is today, where things are less physical and more digital, and everything is online. And kids are losing their ability to, use a pen or a pencil, right? And all we're doing is typing. So, to kind of backtrack a little bit, I would, get a toy and I would take it apart, and I would need to understand the engineering of it. And I was always addicted to things that fly. Any type of what I call elliptical application, or any type of a helicopter, radio controlled, planes and helicopters and things of that nature. 1982, 83, around there, I remember holiday season, my brother got a toy plastic race car, and I had a radio controlled helicopter. And I actually, I melted a hole in the roof of his race car, and I installed the rotor and motor and blades from my helicopter, and I kind of made his car hover off the ground for about 15 minutes. And that kind of is what put me into this mode of, I need to create, I need to build things. I want to, bring the awe factor to other people, and not just that, but prove to myself that I have the, ability to break something and put it back together using interchangeable parts and circuitry and circuit boards. And, as I got older, learned the concepts of, power distribution, from a power source to things that consume that power, right?
Yeah.
So, speeding up to, the PhoneQuad, about a year and a half ago, my dad developed arthritis. He's 83 years old,
Yeah.
and he has an iPhone. And one of his favorite things to do is he likes to FaceTime with my kids. My parents live in Florida, and we're in New York. And so my dad picks up his phone, and his hands are shaking, and they're kind of out of shape. And, he's frustrated he can't really handle his phone any longer. So, I'm staring at him, trying to figure out how I can help him. And he's taking his phone and he's kind of leaning it up against a pile of books, and he's dialing the number with his knuckle. And he's getting frustrated. And I'm thinking to myself, there's hundreds of millions of people globally who are, suffering from the same type of issue, whether it's arthritis, Parkinson's disease, neurological issues that just inhibit you from handling everyday items. So, I kind of took my passion for UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle drone technology, I'm thinking to myself, how can I cross that, that technology, UAV drone technology, with a smartphone or smart device, or tablets, the iPad and things of that nature. And so I literally took pen to paper, and I started, drawing what I was envisioning. And I started to draw a hovering smartphone case. It's a case that actually allows you to lock your iPhone or your Samsung Android phone into it, and basically open up the flaps, and it's at full power, and you can let go of it. And now you actually have a hovering smartphone, so you have hands-free communication using your smart device. And I kind of took that to the next level because I was so, excited about it, and felt, these intense feelings of, okay, now I just created this theoretical platform. I need the physical aspect of it. And so I hooked up with graphic designers and engineers. I'm obviously on the technology side of investment banking, but, those relationships link you to so many other sectors within technology and graphic design and hard tech, and things of that nature. So what's really cool is I'd like to show you the 3D printed model that I have of PhoneQuad. So it's basically, this is an iPhone inside of PhoneQuad.
Oh my God, it's smaller than I thought it would be as well. It's really kind of neat. So
yeah. So it's basically your iPhone or your Android inside of a hovering smartphone case. So as you can see, the iPhone is locked into what I call an airframe, and the airframe actually slides open. The drone and the phone are independent of each other. They each have their own power source. So, we're all thirsty for extra battery power in our phone. We're concerned that our phone is going to be drained of our battery, and we have to plug it in and recharge it, things of that nature. So one of the things I wanted to make sure is that the two systems are independent of one another. So the drone itself has its own power source, and obviously the phone has its own battery. So what we've done also is we started writing some proprietary software, because we were thinking, okay, so the phone is going to be hovering and I can walk away 10 feet, but how am I going to control it, right? How am I going to use voice commands and things of that nature?
Yeah.
So we're writing software to use our AirPods, so you can use Bluetooth for voice commands. So basically I can let go of this, if I'm in an incredibly beautiful place in Ireland, the cliffs of Mortar, or the Blarney Stone, or any of these amazing, beautiful places in your country, or if I'm at the Statue of Liberty in New York, or from the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and I'm with my family, I don't have a selfie stick, and I don't want to ask a stranger to hold my phone, but I have my PhoneQuad, right? I now have the ability to set up that perfect picture and video of something special that I want to capture. And I can tell you a frustrating thing that we've all experienced is, when you want to take a family picture, you're not in the picture.
yeah, absolutely.
Somebody's got to hold that phone. Somebody's got to hold the camera. No longer the issue. And when you're using a selfie stick, your arm is extended, your arm is tired. The selfie stick's a lot of times is in that photograph itself. And now you have the ability to set up the perfect family picture, video.
Oh, we lost audio there with you, Neil. Can you hear us? Sorry. Can you? It might just be. Hey, Niall or Neil. Neil. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? We can't hear you. I think I might have just hit mute or something. I don't know. It was going perfect there.
Yeah.
So I write that down. It's about 14 minutes in.
Okay. So, did you touch something?
No. It's so you've got on. Should I unmute him? It's okay. I've got it on.
That was strange.
That was really weird. Just lost it out of nowhere. I've got it on I've got a timed anyway, so we can just edit that. Should be good.
The HubSpot note taker is muted. Is that okay?
Maybe that's.
Well, Neil's on. Will we just log out and log back in?
Wait, I'll ask him to unmute.
Looks like the screen's frozen.
And as well, maybe it's a battery thing. Okay, cool. Let's log in, log out.
Okay.
Neil, if you can hear us, we're going to log out and log back in. Hey guys, sorry about that little break there. We had a technical transatlantic issue there with the communications, but we're back. We've got Neil here. We're talking about the PhoneQuad. So, I wasn't expecting to actually have the model made like this, and I think we're going to show this to people as well. It's way, like I said, it's way smaller than I thought. You could fit that in your pocket if you needed to, or like a lady's handbag, anything like that, backpack, and stuff like that. So where's the all of the kind of machinery and stuff? It's actually in the box part of it. Everything you need.
Yeah. So basically, what we're looking at right now is the exoskeleton, right, of PhoneQuad. And what I've done is, just as this, we know this is a 3D model. Within this area, you will have we call a polylipo battery, which packs a really strong punch for drones. And so you have a power source, you have circuits and circuitry, and then you have what consumes that power is your motors and your rotors, right? So we have two on each side, which provide for stability. So the idea is when you're inside or you're outside, what's incredibly important for any elliptical application or obviously drone application is it needs to be stable and steady, right? And so what we've thought of is, we have to have a certain amount of power to weight. So you have to have a certain amount of punch to be able to make a certain amount of weight hover for a specific period of time. So what we've done is we have a very strong polylipo battery. We have what's called a PDB board in drone world, that's power distribution. So, the power current from the polylipo battery travels through circuitry through a power distribution board, which evenly distributes power to the four motors and rotors, so providing stability, so one motor or rotor doesn't overpower the other three, and it doesn't start to become the wobbly goblin, right? It holds stable and steady in one spot. And so it's one of the other things that we thought of, and I think is really important for, future consumers to know is, if you're outside and it's windy, what we're building into functionality is, wind resistance functions. So if I'm sitting there and I'm taking a picture of my kids, or my son's on the soccer field, football, he's playing football with his buddies and he's on a team. And instead of me holding my phone or holding a selfie stick, I can actually, face the PhoneQuad at the field and sit down and take my time and record for a little while and take pics and videos and stuff like that. But if the wind blows PhoneQuad off course for, a little bit, 3 mile per hour wind, 5 mile per hour wind, PhoneQuad will know its original position and self-adjust. Okay. So there's a lot of physical functionality as well as software functionality that we have in mind. And, some of the other things that I'm really excited about, and to me, one of the most powerful things about it is, my original use case, hands-free functions, hands-free really communication. So if I'm at home or if I'm outside and my phone rings, I can open up or I say deploy PhoneQuad, and it'll just hover steady and stable in front of you, so you can have a hands-free phone conversation. And people have said to me, what about noise? Drones throw off a lot of noise. So, we've taken into account, noise reduction controls, and that's part of or I should say my, patent protection. It's not just, the utility functions and design functions that we're trying to protect, but functions that we're going to be using in future models. So there's a lot of things that we're thinking about where it's not just Gen 1, but we have a lot of functionality that we're going to be implementing for Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, and so on. So the goal is, how do you turn a product into a company? And that's always, a significant barrier to entry for a lot of folks, where you have this one-hit wonder, and that's not my goal. I have a really good laundry list of, how we pack a lot of really cool, fun stuff into a really good, unique product and make it, lasting for years to come.
It seems like there's so much thought that it would have to go into this to make this function well, right? There's like you're saying, the wind, interference, sound, all that type of stuff. At this stage, how far away are we from seeing this as a product, as something that people can go buy? Are we still kind of in the development stage, would you say, of this? Or
so the biggest hurdle, the biggest challenge I have right now, I think, with a lot of startups in any sector, is economics. Right. So I am in the, fundraising stage, where I've been speaking to angel investors and venture capital folks, and things of that nature. And, I'm very, very early for a lot of people to want to, back this economically. What's interesting is that I have an incredible team of aerospace engineers that I have a great relationship with, and they have my specs, my blueprints. Every stage of development is incredibly realistic from an engineering and physics perspective. So I know it can be built. And the one thing that is a significant challenge right now is funding the next stage. So, product development is the issue. And the real issue is the economics behind it. So I can build a prototype. I can have a prototype ready to go, ready for manufacture in 6 months, if we had the right partner, not just economics, but the right strategic partner to help with, manufacturing, logistics, branding, distribution, all those fun details.
Nice. And what's the climate like right now with the COVID stuff? Is that kind of holding people back from getting funding around New York? Like, is New York a good climate kind of generally? It's for new companies. I know it's, in our mind, from looking from Ireland, it seems like, finance and all that type of stuff has that covered. But is these kind of startups, product, like hardware startups, stuff like that, is there a lot of that going on in New York? And is COVID kind of slowing things down from an investment point of view, do you think?
I do. I think COVID has put a damper on the way people are working, the way people are thinking, all the real pipeline of plans that folks had, whether you are a very well-established business, or you're a startup, or you are a startup that is incredibly well-funded, or a startup like myself that's incredibly well bootstrapped. I can tell you, though, my personal theory that I feel a lot of other entrepreneurs share is that good ideas don't wait, right? So whatever's going on in the world, whatever the climate might be, from a pandemic to political to geopolitical to whatever, interesting things may slow the Earth's rotation and make it wobbly on its axis, we don't wait. So, my strategy, my plan is I move forward no matter what. And if the building is shaking, obviously you need to get out. But I am a true believer in root cause analysis. Do not just fix what's broken, but find out why it broke and keep going. So, that's my thought process. That's, what drives me. And COVID or not, I mean, we are in an incredibly bizarre atmosphere right now. I work from home. My wife works from home. My kids are, it's a hybrid scenario with my kids. My son is 15, he's in 10th grade. My daughter is 12 and she's in 7th grade. And they're online all day, every day, and e-learning, and we are e-working, and I am e-networking. So, we try to do everything we can to use every resource available to us to advance the situation for the good of the project and for, the health of the community, and try to figure out how we can prevail against, specific and obvious odds that are, trying to push us down.
I think you really nailed something there. the e-networking, it is difficult. It's not the same thing. Seeing people on a screen versus getting things done. Otherwise, I notice that in my own work, because I'm kind of, on a one-man team in my office. Like getting things done used to be a lot easier when I could go over to people in the office and kind of ask for a favor, one of my friends and stuff like that. Now it's kind of go through all the processes of everything. Everything's a little bit more, process oriented. It's not the same as kind of just going over and asking someone face to face, or if there's some sort of dispute or something, you can just go over and sort it out. Everything is very process driven now. So the e-networking is an interesting thing. And I think stuff like this, stuff like podcasts, stuff like LinkedIn is great, but it's not going to be the same thing as if we were, in Times Square there with you. Chat. A bit different. Okay, interesting. So, from a next steps point of view, you're going to try to get investment. Some of the people that we talked to lately on the podcast have been more software startups, stuff like that, but they've been going into like accelerators and stuff like that. Is there any options in New York for that type of thing for hardware? Have you ever come across? Do they do that there?
Yeah. So I've spoken to, I'm kind of relentless in my pursuit of the goal, and there are, there's the ultimate goal and there are plateaus to get to that goal. So one of the plateaus is how do you create a relationship with either angel investors, venture capital, or hardware accelerators that see and realize the potential of a platform, and it's basically the epitome of a global platform, because not to go, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but I've created something that is not focused on one specific demographic, where all the very large global drone manufacturers have already, saturated the X Games and outdoors enthusiast demographic with their products. And a lot of those drone manufacturers, they're incredible. They're multi-billion-dollar international organizations that have been able to go from the consumer sector and pivot into commercial applications. So what I think they've missed, and the niche that I'm in, is I'm not selling into the X Games and outdoors enthusiast demographic. I'm selling into the global smartphone user community, which, as we know, is an incredibly healthy, massive global sector of electronics, consumer electronics. But to kind of get back to hardware accelerators, I've spoken to Hacks, and SOSV, Hardware Club, and a lot of the very big organizations that are out there that believe in, the intersection of hardware and software, and why it's incredibly important to, support these type of platforms, because we're really changing the world. And that's the only way to make a significant difference on a global basis, is to do something that makes sense for everyone. And I believe strongly that's what I've done, is I created a platform that I can put in anybody's hands, because, I'm not swaying specifically towards Apple or Android. I've created something that is compatible with both, which, really makes PhoneQuad the epitome of a global product. So the hurdle, again, with hardware accelerators is they want to already see a prototype.
Okay.
And that is my hurdle, is if I had a prototype, I think I would be, at least a mile or two ahead of where I am. I don't say 50 miles or 100 miles, but I would be in the next phase of prototyping, product development, and getting that much closer to manufacturing. So again, the accelerators want to see some type of working prototype. They're not looking for perfection. They're not looking for something that's ready to rock, but something where they can put their hands on it, they can dissect it, they can look at the internal workings and the power and the circuits and circuitry and physics and engineering and all that fun stuff, and say, we can take this from this point forward, and it'll make sense for us to put our love and our support and our economics behind it, and all of our resources, and get it out to the masses as quickly as possible in the most efficient and economic way to make a successful platform and a company that's got real growth potential.
I really like the comparison you made with the kind of X Games type of drone kind of market, what they've been really focused on. I've got a question for Mark Baker out there in Great Aaron.
I've been very, very quiet. Sorry, I'm taking it all in, Neil.
When's the first time you saw drones? Do you remember that kind of impact that had on you?
The first time I saw drones, Jesus, I don't know. Not too long ago, but I actually thought that the idea for this, I had the idea for this product probably about 5 years ago when I was looking at YouTubers. You know, they're constantly going around following themselves with the camera held, and there's something at that angle. It just doesn't look well, and they're always doing something else. This product is ideal for a YouTuber, like a professional YouTuber. Yeah. But what I was thinking at the time was something that, I don't know, uses sat nav or whatever the word is, but where it could follow you around while you move. I was just wondering when you were talking about it, I was just wondering, is that something you've thought of? That would be a natural evolution, that it's going to stay this far away from your face at all times while you're walking and talking. That would be how that product to me is just a matter of when, not if, it's gonna happen.
Sure. And I'm with you. And, it's my intention to make it happen. Believe me.
Yeah.
So the technology you're referring to is from a layman's term, is called follow me, right? It's called follow me technology. And, the very large manufacturers, DJI, Unique, Parrot, 3DR, these are the large global multi-billion-dollar organizations that have gotten, significant investments from, Sequoia Capital, Y Combinator, Intel, Google, Facebook. All these types of organizations are very much involved now in, what drones are doing and what they can do moving forward. So, there's a company called Skydio, and it's a very cool company, very cool platform. It's a bunch of really, really bright guys at MIT, and they have, written some really cool software where they've implemented, AI, artificial intelligence, into their platform, where, follow me technology is prevalent in everything that they do. So your face and your physical body become the admin, right? So the drone scans you, and wherever you go and whatever you do, it follows you. So I can turn that drone on and deploy it, and I can get on my mountain bike, or I can get on skis, and I can fly down that mountain skiing, or I can fly through the woods on my mountain bike. And where the artificial intelligence comes into play is, it's not just following you based on the fact that it's scanning your movement, but it's also dealing with another level of functionality called obstacle avoidance, right? So obstacle avoidance allows it not to crash into a tree or a mountain or hit something else. And as it's dealing with that piece of obstacle avoidance functionality, it's learning as it's moving. It's scanning, it's absorbing, it's recording, and it's keeping that data and sending it back to you, the admin, so you know where you've been, what you've done, elevations, longitude, latitude, horizontal and vertical positioning, all these types of really, really cool stuff. So, drones are incredibly advanced, and they're delivering things. Amazon and Walmart are investing heavily in drones right now. The military, global military, have poured a lot of money into drone technology, into reconnaissance missions, and gathering data and military applications and missions and things of that. So the future of drones is very, very significant in global society. It's really not a fad. It's something that's here to stay. And again, healthcare, I think, is going to benefit from drone technology in a big way. And I'll give you a real quick example. Let's just say there's an elderly gentleman walking down the street, and he has chest pains. His pacemaker is going to send a signal to his smartphone, and his smartphone is going to send the signal to a drone ambulance that is perched on top of a building, right? That is going to be able to hover down, pick him up, and take him to a hospital, as opposed to I live in New York City, and we have nothing but love and respect for our first responders, our police and our firefighters and our ambulance drivers and doctors and nurses. They are an incredible group of people. But when you live on an island that's packed with 10 million people, it's very difficult for an ambulance or police first responders and firefighters to get to an emergency in a timely fashion because of the dense population. So if you have a drone ambulance sitting on top of a building that was electronically notified that somebody's having a coronary event, and it can get to you in a minute as opposed to 20 minutes, it's going to save lives.
It's like a superhero.
Yeah, it's going to happen. There's no doubt. So there's going to be a nurse or a doctor or a medical professional sitting in the drone ambulance, and it's going to be hovering around the city or on top of a building, and it's going to get that emergency signal, and it's going to pick somebody up and take them to the hospital. And it's going to save lives.
So much sense.
It's going to happen. It will happen.
It's come so far only in the last few years. I mean, the first time I saw a drone, I think it was the first time. I'll tell this quick story. I just arrived in Canada when I moved there for a few years in Vancouver, and a really nice Canadian guy, Leighton Hay. If he's listening to this, shout out Leighton. How's it going? He invited me out on his uncle's boat on the weekend, and I didn't really know anybody in Canada, so I said that sounds like fun. So I don't know. I know you said you hadn't been to Ireland yet, but
on my list.
Yeah. if you go in someone's kind of boat, I just thought it was going to be like a little fishing boat with a little motor. So I arrived with my my swimming trunks wrapped up in a towel and a bag of cans, and I thought that was kind of the type of vibe that we were going. But it was like his uncle had kind of like a yacht, right? So it was like I didn't really fit in with my kind of Dutch gold there. But they had a drone that they were kind of playing with off the boat, and it was quite big and heavy, or not heavy, but it was kind of clunky, not as kind of sleek as they are now, but I remember thinking I think everyone's going to have one of these. I thought it was just amazed that we had something that could fly, that we could control, and it had a really shitty camera on it, but at least you take these aerial photos. And I thought by now that it would even be a bigger part of people's lives. I was so blown away by it. So maybe it's something like the economics haven't been there yet, but a lot of these guys a lot of Amazon and stuff are pouring money into it right now, right?
In Ireland, we have a company at the forefront of drones. Have you heard of Mana Aero?
I have not.
Bobby Healy is the guy who owns the company. They're in. I think they've started out by delivering takeaway. So there's a takeaway, a Thai takeaway called Camille, which is very popular over here, and they've started doing takeaway deliveries using drones, which seems like a safe way to start it, but very, very apparently it can get to you in 3-4 minutes.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, again, Amazon and Walmart, they are already using drones in certain areas to deliver packages. So, at 7 a.m. in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, I can order something and it'll be delivered, same day. And that is one of the goals of, big e-commerce organization is how do we service our customers? And so they're just incredibly loyal to us. And I think drones is one of the ways where you can deliver product in the most efficient, cost-effective way to really please a customer. And if we've all listened to Jeff Bezos, and he says, you have to be customer focused. You have to be customer obsessive is the term that he uses. And drones actually allow you to be customer obsessive. And not only that, when somebody walks out of the front door of their home and they see an Amazon or a Walmart drone delivering the package that they, purchased 24 hours prior, there's an awe factor that is pretty difficult to get over. So you're going to want to use that service. You're going to want to use that company, and you're going to want to use, a type of medium that allows you to get that gratification that you're looking for instantly. Because when you buy something, you're looking for some gratification. And that's really what it does. It delivers temporary happiness in the quickest way possible.
And there's less human contact involved with drones as well.
Exactly. And so, we're living in this very interesting time of COVID. And if there's less human contact, I think people are more apt to accept that technology.
Okay. I know that you've seen some of the podcasts in the past there, Neil. I think it's around this time that we get into our rapid fire questions lightning round. I don't know what the equivalent would be at stateside, but Mark kind of has this kind of like little tradition that we have a little quick fire round. I don't know. It doesn't have to be quick answers, but it just kind of opens things up, and we get to know the real Neil here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm New York City. Don't forget.
Actually, me and my wife went there on our honeymoon. Loved it. Like the energy, New York. That was so good. I was hoping.
There's nothing like it. It's incredible.
We spent Christmas in New York a couple of years ago with the kids.
Oh, you went to Rockefeller Center. You saw the tree.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
It was snowing and everything.
It becomes New York City is always a global destination. But come holiday time, Christmas time, it's just an amazing thing how the planet centers on Rockefeller Center. It's just an amazing thing.
Yeah.
All right. Right away there, Mark.
Okay. Okay. What apps on your phone do you use the most?
Texting.
SMS? Not even WhatsApp?
No, I use SMS the most. I mean, I think that's how I communicate with colleagues, with friends, with relatives. It's interesting. My parents are 85 years old and they both have iPhones, and we text each other and they text my kids. My kids are upstairs and I'm downstairs in the basement and my kids will text me. So, I think that's what I use more than anything.
Okay. What's the best business idea you've never acted upon?
I'd say you had a few in your day.
So I can tell you that, and I wish I had my folder in front of me. I could be able to prove it to you, and I'll email it to you post pod. When I was probably 14 or 15 years old, I had this idea where I wanted to take a magnifying glass and scale it down to the size of a 50-cent piece, a $50, and put some circuitry behind it. And that circuitry that was attached to the ocular piece would drill through a hole in the front door of your home. And so you have the ocular piece and wiring through the front door of your house. And on the inside of your home, attached to the front door, right, is a TV screen, a little digital TV screen that was probably, 3 inches by 3 inches. So when somebody came up to the front of your house, you could actually, see them not by looking through the peephole, but you could see them on the little digital screen.
Okay, cool.
So as we all know, a gentleman, I just forget his name, and I should know his name because he's a super great entrepreneur and an innovator, an incredible inventor. He invented the doorbell, right? And the video doorbell Ring.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah. So you can actually look up his episode on Shark Tank, and he invented the video doorbell Ring. And so he got on Shark Tank, and all the sharks didn't want to have anything to do with it. They didn't believe in it. They didn't think it was the right platform. They didn't think it would work. They thought it was silly. Anybody could walk up to it and break it, vandalize it, do anything you want with it. And he left Shark Tank with no deal. I believe he was asking for about $750,000 for 10 or 15% equity in the organization, and he walked out with nothing. About 6 months later, a representative of Richard Branson, Sir Richard Branson, reached out to Jamie. His name is Jamie. I forget his last name.
Siminoff, is it?
Thank you, Jamie Siminoff. So Richard Branson reached out to Jamie Siminoff, offered him a deal. They became partners. Sometime after that, they sold the entire company to Amazon for $1 billion. And Jamie Siminoff walked away with $300 million.
Wow.
And I was going to say,
that was your money, Neil.
I try not to think about it because I could cry. It's one of the very few things that makes me lose sleep. although I really don't sleep too much anyway, but that really makes me stay up all night. So yeah, so that was probably 1984, 1985. I thought of the electronic video doorbell, which I drew on a piece of paper and put it in a folder and forgot about it until 2019.
Wow.
Well, let's not let that happen again, Neil.
Never.
Can I go through the things there?
Yeah.
Okay, next one, which kind of follows on. What time do you get up in the morning, and what time do you go to sleep? You say you don't sleep much.
So so it's a problem for me. I actually I'm somewhat of a night owl. So my kids are sleeping 10 o'clock at night. My wife's asleep 10 o'clock at night. That's when my creativity kind of kicks in. And so from midnight till 3, 4 a.m., I'm up, I'm at my computer. I have, I do a lot of graphic design. I do a lot of, I'm not, Mark, the artist that you are by any means. And I give you tremendous credit because I've looked at your portfolio of really cool stuff.
Thank you very
So, I give you a lot of credit for all that detail and passion that goes into that. So all the ideas that pop into my head, I keep a journal next to my bed and I write stuff down. And I will literally, I'll pass out at, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and then I'm up at, 6:30, 7, and that is most of my week. So I really don't get a lot of sleep. I just, for whatever, we're all wired differently. And that's just been the norm. I haven't really slept 8, 9, 10 hours, 20 years.
I'm the same, Neil, just not on the same kind of scale maybe, but when the kids go to bed, my kids are younger, so they're 6 and 8, so they go to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then if I'm not kind of watching the telly with my wife, I'll come into here, this room, and I'll paint, or I'll be working on something creative.
Yeah.
You kind of need that peace and quiet to focus, and so that happens to be the nighttime for me since the kids were born. So that's when I get some of my best work done.
Same
Whereas
way.
Luke is tucked up in bed by half 8, 9.
I like to wind. I like to take it easy. I don't like. I kind of we have a rule in my house: no admin after 9 p.m. That's how I'm excited.
I was thinking of for October as an October challenge to do like a sleep challenge, because I do worry about the lack of sleep that I actively don't get. Maybe for October, trying to get a certain amount of hours sleep per night.
I wake up really early, so if I don't go to bed at a reasonable hour, it gets kind of squeezed. Like the other day, I slept until like 7:30 or something. That was the latest I'd slept. It was a lion for me, and I felt incredible. I felt like great all day, but I wake up really, really early, kind of toss and turn. So I got to try to get it in. So if my wife comes at me with some paperwork or something after 9, I'm like, no thanks, it's quiet time. I think my mom thinks the same, but I think because anyway, doesn't matter. Okay, so one more, Mark, and then we'll get this going.
Okay, no, there's a couple more. If you have the time, Neil.
Sure, I do.
If you could do business anywhere in the world, where would it be?
I think I am incredibly lucky to have been born and raised in the economic capital of the world. So, there's a tremendous amount of influence that I'm surrounded by, tremendous professionalism, industry, manufacturing, the economic hub of Wall Street, which I've been fortunate to worked on, made great relations at some of the largest asset management firms on the planet. So, I undoubtedly have no issue and would love to do business internationally, anywhere in the world. Just knowing that there's so much out there, so much uncovered technology and untapped resources, and an incredible amount of collaboration to still be had. But just to be blunt, I'm a New York City guy.
Yeah. It's just me and Mark have talked about this so many times. There's a couple of Irish companies that sell only to the US. So they build software. Their sales teams come in at 1, 2 p.m. in the afternoon because of the time difference, and if something works, like I said, in New York City, it's probably going to work in Kansas City. It's probably going to work in.
You can make it there. You can make it anywhere. So the song says.
It's a true fact. It's a true fact. But, to be honest with you, for years, I've been reading that Ireland is a major technology hub, that there's just this incredible boom of not just startups, but, companies and teams and folks coming out of college, the university, that have just this brilliance behind the platforms that they're creating and developing, and from a software perspective and cloud technology, and SaaS level products. It's just amazing what's going on in Ireland. So I think it's an incredible hub to be a part of, and the networking and things that can be done locally has got to be exponentially greater than it's ever been.
It's we take for granted, I think. I work for HubSpot, which is a software company out of Boston, but they like LinkedIn, Google, Facebook, Airbnb are in like a 1 kilometer walking distance. So you can just, if you wanted to move jobs, it's very fluid. You can go back to the jobs that you had. It's really nice ecosystem once you get in. It's getting in that's the story. The big part.
Okay, here's one. How much money is enough money?
I don't think it's a question of enough. I think for me, we have personal goals, we have professional goals. My ultimate goal is 2 words that I think are the 2 words that actually do keep me up, and they don't allow me to sleep. And those 2 words are generational wealth. So the scene that drives me is that in 100 years from now, when my family is sitting at the Thanksgiving table and dinner is over, before dessert comes, I want them to get up and walk down that long marble hallway at the estate that I built, and walk into the library and look at that oil painting that's on the wall, where, the oil painting that I'm talking about, where I'm standing up and my wife is sitting in the chair.
One that I'm going to do soon.
There you go. And I want my relatives to just take a look at that oil painting and give me a minute of thanks, because I'm the reason their sorry asses are there. Then I want them to go back into the Thanksgiving room and have dessert and forget about me until the following year.
I like it.
I love that.
I think that's great.
it.
I think having that because we all know that exact painting there. Mark might be able to hook me up with that. I don't know. He did the Bono one behind me, but maybe brought me in from an expert. They have to earn some of that generational wealth, though. Mark, what do you think?
That's it. Yeah, that's the deal. As soon as you can earn that wealth, I'll paint the painting. Okay, 2 more. Right? Is it who you know, or is it what you know?
It's a combination. It's a combination of both. There's no doubt. When I reach out to venture capital folks, angel investors, people that I want to network with, folks that I know that have expertise in not my specific sector, but in building businesses, they want to know that you have a specific level of expertise in, the business that you're building, the product that you're focused on, the platform that you're trying to expand. How else have you networked? I'm building something that moves, that flies, that needs engineering and physics. Do you have an engineering background? What's your understanding of physics? What's your understanding of jet propulsion, elliptical applications? If I look at a jet plane and I look at a helicopter, they both fly, but do they really? Does a helicopter fly, or does a helicopter hover? If I take a jet engine, it produces thrust. It produces forward thrust only. If I add a formula and I say thrust plus propulsion plus lift equals flight, does that also equate to how a helicopter works? No, it doesn't. But does it? Similarly, it does, but not visually. From a physical perspective in engineering and physics, a helicopter has an engine where a blade spins and it creates lift because of the RPMs involved in what it does. Where a jet airplane creates, forward thrust, propulsion, flaps go down, nose goes up, and a plane has sustained flight for a specific period of time based on a power source. So I can go into this, crazy tangent of, all these different things, but my answer is, when somebody speaks to me and they want to know, who is Neil, what is he about, what is he working on, I am, fully not just prepared, but excited to show them my experience and what I'm passionate about and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, how I'm going to change the world and how we can collaborate to change the world. And no, I don't need you just to write a check. I need a strategic partner to say, something, I like what you've done, but this is what I think. I want to challenge you on what you're saying. I might agree, but something, let's make a right instead of a left. So I think the collaboration is incredibly important.
Okay.
Absolutely. Here's a question I don't ask everybody, but it's 2020, Neil. Why haven't we got flying cars?
It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. I want to say I guarantee. There are no guarantees in life, but I can tell you right now, there are companies in Europe, there are companies in Asia, there are companies in the United States that are working on a variation of what we would call a flying car, where it's a pod where people sit in it and a drone attaches to the roof of that pod and will take you to your destination, where there's no brakes, there's no acceleration, there's no steering wheel, there's a computer screen, and you're going to plug in coordinates and it's going to take you to your destination. So when we say flying car, we're not talking about combustion, right? We're not talking about anything to do with, real moving parts. We're taking an electrical platform, we're adding rotors and motors and computers and software, and we're putting that together and we're creating this incredible formula where I can plug in where I want to be, when I need to be there, and that's what's going to happen. So when we're done, you guys should Google hovering cars in Asia, Europe, the United States, and I can tell you that in Dubai, the police department in Dubai, they're already using hovercrafts to, chase down cars and do patrols and things of that nature. There was actually a video of a hovercraft on LinkedIn posted this morning of an indoor hovercraft taking off. So it looks like a motorcycle, and instead of having, wheels, it's built on a platform, and there's 4 quadrants, and each quadrant is a 12-inch blade that spins at many, many thousands of RPMs and has enough power to create lift. And the gentleman that was on that looked like he was probably 150 to 175 pounds, and it was able to carry him for a very specific distance based on its power supply. So it's not an if, it is a when.
I can't wait to see all this stuff. That's like, I know it's
Luke is about to go down a serious rabbit hole here.
Yeah. I'll leave it. It's coming. Let's just say that's
it's coming. It's coming. There's no doubt.
Okay.
Remember, this technology is going to take us from the Flintstones to the Jetsons.
That's the dream. That's what I've been promised. I feel like ripped off so far here.
No. And it's going to happen, and we are going to be here to see it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're going to be able to be transported from one location to another, right?
Yeah. Okay.
From a, being able to break down our molecular structure and being sent into a network where we can be restructured at the IP address of our destination, right? But I don't know. But from a flying car, I do know that will happen.
I like it. All right, Mark, one more, and then we've got a very special shark question that we usually end on that I'll bring it on home with. What do you think, Mark? One more. What's
okay? I was actually just thinking of this. I'm going to add this one in. Actually, just thought of it there. Is there any one person that's inspired you over the years, to do what you do from maybe from an invention point of view or anything like that? One person that's inspired you.
So I cannot openly and honestly give credit to one specific person, because it was 2 people that created me. So I am very, very fortunate and very lucky to have incredible parents. And I think that is the basis to who I am, why I am and why I am wired the way I am. You know, my parents have an incredible work ethic. They had this incredible, you know, open door policy where anything that you want to talk about, anything that's on your mind, anything that's going on, something's troubling you, something's exciting you, you know, what did you invent today, Neil? You know, Mom, what do you think of this? Dad, I got this crazy idea. It's not going to work, but what do you think about it? You know, so that's what I grew up with, and that is what shaped me and formed me, and why I have this incredible, intrepid, you know, path where, you know, I can step into the casino of life. I can step into, you know, the boxing ring of life, and not be afraid to fall, not be afraid to run through the fire. And I just, although the concept of fear exists, I keep it so far at bay, it might as well not exist. So I have to give that credit to my mother and my father, and thank God they're still around, and I still have the ability to speak with them. And you know, they give me a lot of love and support, but I also like to go with them because, you know, they will give me just brutal honesty, and that's what I need is brutal honesty, and that's what helps me, you know, forge forward.
Excellent.
Right, lovely. And so one more question here. Would you prefer a t-shirt or a mug from the SharkPod collection?
I would undoubtedly appreciate a t-shirt.
Okay.
I am extra
Maybe
large.
something like this.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
I will wear it proudly, gentlemen. I can tell you that.
Great. Well,
Proudly.
we look forward from the sidelines here to seeing this take off. What do you think, Mark? That's a nice pun there. Anyway, shark puns are always good here. So thank you very much for spending some time with us today. I know it's the middle of the day over there in New York City. So we'll be in touch for the t-shirt, all that type of stuff, and we'll let you know when this is out. Thanks very much, Neil.
All right, gentlemen.
luck,
Thank
Neil.
you very much for your time. Good to meet with you. Good to talk with you. Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.